and behavior issues.
Okay. Okay. And you had gone to the University of Arizona as well for school.
I did. I went to University of Minnesota in Duluth
Mm-hmm.
and got a social work degree from there.
Okay.
And then went back and got a master's at the University of Arizona in counseling and vocational evaluation.
Wow. So you have quite a deep background in like rehabilitative services and working with people with disabilities then.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's social worker. That's pretty amazing. I don't think anyone can just do that kind of job. It takes a special heart. What do you think?
I don't know. You know, I think it's what your purpose is. My purpose is to help people, give them a clearer path than what I had.
Okay. And so did you always feel like you had that purpose in your life, or did you have to search for that?
I think I always had that purpose in my life because I started out as a special ed teaching program at Illinois State University.
Okay.
And after I got married and moved to Minnesota, then I changed majors to social work because they didn't have the same thing that I was in before. I was in behavior disorders.
Okay. All right.
And so I think, it's always been there in one fashion or another.
What would you say is one of your biggest takeaways or lessons in life from that experience?
Which experience?
From working with people with disabilities in those programs.
Oh boy, everyone has gifts. Everyone has a sweet spirit somewhere.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you're right though. I love the quote. I've heard it's Einstein. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but you can't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
I've never heard that before.
You haven't? Well,
no.
Yeah,
that's a new
that's one of my favorite ones because different people do have different gifts.
That's the truth.
Yeah, we were talking previously on the show before. They had a guest that was talking about college just wasn't for him. You know, he had more the entrepreneur spirit. You know, so different people have different gifts or different paths.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was a career counselor for kids in special education programs. Did all the transitioning from high school to post-secondary for 20 years, and each of them had a different gift, and I just don't think college is required for everyone. And I can tell you at that point when working for a public school system that plumbers were making a whole lot more money than I was.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the trades are...
And loving it.
In high demand.
Yeah.
High demand. Kids out there, if you want to do a trade, go for it,
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's the way I feel about it.
Mm-hmm. But you did have to do a pivot. I mean, you're helping these kids make those pivots in their life.
Yeah.
But you came to a point where you needed to make a pivot of your own. What brought you to that point?
I think I grew up a lot with not feeling worthy, not feeling low self-esteem kind of a thing.
Okay. Let's go there.
Okay.
Let's go there.
My mom had passed away when I was very young, 8, and my dad was not real happy about having 2 kids without a partner.
Right.
So we went to live with my grandma, and she'd already had 14 kids, so we were 15 and 16.
Oh, my.
So that didn't go so great. I mean, she did what she could do. And anyway, so you get to a point, one of the quotes that I use a lot is, you don't get what you want, you get who you are. And at that point, I was not feeling confident. I was not feeling like I had a lot to give personally to anyone.
And how is that affecting your life?
Well, decisions that you make and the people that you attract, because you attract who you are. And so I got married, and really nice guy.
Okay.
There were issues, and so anyway, I don't want to throw him under a bus at all.
But relationships have seasons.
Yes. And I had been a goal-oriented person all the time, and got a lot of my esteem from my intelligence and my ability to do, not who I was, but what I could do for folks.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I felt good about myself.
Is that kind of your love language, service or gifts to others then? Or how you like to express yourself to others?
I think my love language is when you give me time.
Oh, okay. For receiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, so once I got divorced, then the next month I went back to grad school. I had to support 2 kids. I
Wow.
had no child support, and so I needed to get something where I could really have enough money to support my kids.
So you had 2 kids, just went through a divorce,
Mhm.
enrolled in grad school,
Mhm.
moved from Minnesota to Arizona at that point?
I was already in Arizona.
In Arizona.
Mhm.
So away from where you had been living for a while.
I had been here for 3 years at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still pretty new.
Yeah.
Yeah, for building up those support systems and resources.
Yeah, totally.
Right. So how you were saying you were having the low self-esteem, a lot of self-doubt.
Mhm.
How did you begin by challenging that, or how did you first decide that that's something that you wanted to overcome for yourself?
I think it might have been when my counselor told me I was a loser magnet.
Really?
Yes.
And you were saying about feeling like you attract what you are. So did
Mhm.
you hear them calling you a loser?
I didn't get it at that point. I get it now, but at that point, and he didn't go into detail on that, and I
Okay.
probably should have explained that a bit more to me. It was kind of an offhand comment, and now I look at it and I go, oh,
Was he right?
yes.
He was. So she was a loser magnet. We're going to pause there, go into our break. And I'm again with Nancy Jones, and Nancy Jones is with Crossroads Coaching.
Yay.
And she's our guest here on Kiki's Keys to Unlocking Your Best Life. We wouldn't be here without Nancy and our other sponsors, We Care Tucson, Sarah Sodders, Luxury Real Estate, Kiki Rogers, Country Financial, and Nancy Jones with Crossroads Coaching. We'll talk to you right after the break.
Friends.
Welcome back, friends. This is Kiki's Rogers. I always say, this is Kiki's Keys. I am Kiki Rogers, and I am here with our guest today, Nancy Jones. Welcome back, Nancy.
Thanks.
So we were talking about Nancy. She's moved around a little bit with her family, was in Minnesota for a while, got her undergraduate degree in Duluth, Minnesota, up in the cold portion,
Totally
right
cold.
by the border. But, beautiful area, though.
It is.
I
Lake
love it.
Superior is gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm reminded when I drive up Mount Lemmon after a lot of rain and you have the waterfalls. I'm reminded of the waterfalls up in Minnesota in that
Okay.
drive, the North
Mhm.
Shore.
Mhm.
And then went through a divorce, had transplanted here to Tucson, had 2 young children, entered grad school. That's a lot all happening at one time on someone.
It
How
was
did you
a lot.
manage that?
I'm just I'm a survivor. I'm just plow ahead and get things done. It's not easy, but I think learning comes easily for me. So grad school wasn't difficult except for writing papers.
Okay.
And so that was really hard with 2 kids, and my ex-husband had moved back to Minnesota, so
You were a single mom at that point.
I was totally. His parents lived here, and they were very supportive.
That's
so,
good.
Yeah. So, but it was still, taking kids to the U of A library is not the best situation.
Right. When you're
Mhm.
trying to get those deadlines done and
Right.
you do your research, but you got 2 little ones with you. That is a lot on one person. Were there resources for single moms on campus at that time?
No, and there weren't evening classes, so it was really hard. I did find a job where I could work around my schedule, so I worked 27 hours and went to grad school full time.
And what was your focus for grad school?
It was counseling and vocational evaluation.
Okay.
Mhm.
And how did you see yourself in the future using that degree?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I ended up getting a job and this is one of the things actually that was in my head, was working for the school systems in work programs with special ed, because I had the special ed background already. And so that's actually a district called me and asked me if I was available, and I was going to graduate in May, and this was in April.
Okay.
So it worked out
It
very
all
well.
fell into place pretty well there.
It
That's
did.
great. But it sounds
did.
like you put a lot of work into making it happen too.
Yeah, I had subbed a lot at that district, so they knew me, and
Okay.
so
Those connections.
make the
that
connection,
makes a lot.
develop the relationships.
So, at what point then did you decide you wanted to make a career change for yourself?
So I started coaching with the Department of Education,
Okay.
and I went through a certification program with them to learn about coaching and how to do that, as what the coaching skill looks like. Loved it. Worked with teams around the state, helping teams in improvement in a program called Professional Development Leadership Academy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
I want to,
So it sounds like you were kind of in that realm already, and this was an extension or like an evolution of what you were previously doing.
everything builds on the next thing in your life.
Right.
The more you grow, the more you know, the higher you get, the more awareness you have in your life, and the more awareness you have, the more choices you can make.
That's really good advice. How did you come to understand that for yourself?
Well, I have some great mentors, and I am with John Maxwell, so he's a #1 international leadership expert, and he is an awesome person that opens up possibilities. The different people that I've been around. One of the things that for the change that I did for me, for my personal change, a lot of it, there's a gal named Alexis Lopez, and she did a self-hypnosis group, and I got into that.
Really?
Yeah. And I had never
That sounds
considered that ever.
very alternative, not something you hear of very often. How did you get connected with them?
She was in a networking group that I was in.
Okay.
And so I really, I learned a lot about the subconscious and the messages that were in my subconscious through that thing. I had never before noticed. And then I went on to do neuro-linguistic programming training. And in that, neuro-linguistic programming teaches you to notice what you're thinking and what you're feeling at different times.
Kind of being mindful of your emotions and your thoughts, or even deeper.
I think it's deeper than that.
Even deeper.
Yeah.
Wow, because even that can be really a struggle for some people. Just to be aware of what they're feeling.
I guess I'd gone through life mostly just, feeling, but not really taking it into account a whole lot.
Oh, you would not listen to your feelings more.
Maybe I listened to it, but I didn't do anything about it.
I see.
And hearing, and they call it echoes. You give yourself a statement, or in this particular program, they had statements that you said to yourself, and then you listen to what your subconscious came back to you as a reply. They call them echoes.
Oh, wow. And prior to that, you said you were struggling with a lot of low self-esteem, a lot of self-doubt. We hear the term a lot these days, imposter syndrome. Are those some of the things you were addressing as you were doing that practice?
Probably not imposter syndrome. It's more just not feeling that I was valuable personally.
Okay.
I had a lot to give professionally, and I've always, to that point, had been relying on my professional expertise to create relationships and to give value to other people.
Yeah. I hear women, not to generalize too much between genders, but I think for women, we do that a lot. We suppress ourselves and not listen to ourselves to be of service for others.
Well, it's possible. Yeah, probably. But and I don't know unless you're aware that and are noticing. Unless you know to notice and not to judge it, but just to go, that's interesting.
Okay.
And then choose if that's, a valuable or a real reaction to that. So a lot, the subconscious has everything in it, and it's not all true.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's a bunch of stories. It doesn't have a judgment filter, and so you just whatever you put into there, that's what it believes. So if I'm a loser magnet, then that's what I must be. So it's how do I feel about that, and is that something that I want to keep? Is that something that I want to be identified by? And then looking at your ideal self. So who I am now and who I want to be, the person I want to become, is also important. And knowing that every day I grow, I change, and I'm never back at that square that I was yesterday, because I'm a different person today because I've had different experiences. So being aware of that and just latching onto that and being positive. The first time I saw myself as being really positive was after my cancer diagnosis, and I saw other people having breakdowns about it, and I'm like, let's go. I just have to do the next step.
How long ago was that for you?
16 years ago was the diagnosis.
Wonderful.
15, yeah.
Yes, you have been through so much, and you have so much great wisdom. You tapped into a lot of wonderful resources with your education and your experience in your career. Share now, what is life like today for Nancy, and what is driving your passions right now?
All right. Well, now we're into the good stuff.
Yes.
I am living my best life.
Are you?
I am. It's just wonderful to be here. And
what does that look like for you?
It looks like I am helping people. I am financially secure.
Mm-hmm.
My kids are doing great.
Awesome.
And I have a puppy.
You have a puppy, yes, little Oliver, your corgi.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So, and it's, I feel like every day I'm growing more. I'm learning more things. I'm gaining more skills, and I'm just so excited to share that with other people.
Well, that's awesome. And so now you do coaching yourself with others. And what, first of all, just if someone's interested in getting involved with coaching or have more questions for you, how can they reach you after the show?
Probably by texting me at 520-704-7600.
Wonderful. And some of the different services that you provide, you work with individuals, you work with executives and leaders.
Business owners, executives, and emerging leaders are really the three niches that I really look at the most. And to help them with leadership and mindset. So I'm a neuro leadership coach is what I say.
Okay.
Leadership is really everything rises and falls on leadership. So, but you have to have a good mindset in order to be a good leader.
That's really great to know. So yeah, if you don't have your stuff together, how are you going to show that for others?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So who is someone that we listed business and emerging leaders, but how do they know if they could benefit from coaching services? What should they be looking for in their own thoughts to know if this is something for them?
So anyone who wants to grow and wants to have a unbiased person to help them, coaching is about asking questions. And so I'm not a consultant. I don't tell you what you need to do. We work together. I'm more of a guide, I guess, and a thinking partner to help you think through what you want to do, what's the best way for you to get there, how to reduce some of those obstacles that get in the way. And I really look for folks who want to grow.
That's awesome. So if you identify with that and feel like you could benefit from speaking more to Nancy, you can reach her by text at 520-704-7600. Thank you, Nancy, so much for being here today. If you had one word of advice, what would you give it?
One word.
One little advice for our listeners.
Keep growing, keep learning.
Keep growing, keep learning, and continue to be the best you that you can be. No one else can do it better than you. This is Kiki's Keys. I am Kiki Rogers, and we will hear you again next week on Saturday at 4 o'clock. Thank you.